listen to EntrepreNINES. I'm John Wist.
And I'm Bonni Mace. We're two Enneagram 9s who took the big leap into the world of entrepreneurship at a similar time, and this podcast is a space where we are inviting you to laugh and learn with us as we work to build businesses with soul. Episode 1.
Episode 1, here we are.
Ta-da!
So funny, we'll just start with kind of a funny story. Like, this feels good because we did this for a long time together.
Yeah.
But also feels like I need to start riding a bike again. Like I need to learn how to pedal again.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we did podcasts for like almost a year straight.
Almost.
Yeah.
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 Pandemic time, I was saying this to someone in a text message, is bizarre because it doesn't feel like that long ago, but it was almost 2 years ago that we started.
Which is crazy.
The podcast period.
Yeah.
In a couple months.
Yeah.
So
it's nuts. So we are not podcast noobs, but this is a new podcast.
Right.
For us.
But also might be awkward sometimes because it's been a while. I fall off my bike, so the bike riding analogy is
and
bad
I was just
me.
about to say, like, newsflash to whoever's going to listen to this, like, we're just awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
sometimes
like it will be awkward.
Quirky.
Yes. As
Feels better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You did a great job identifying as we were trying to pick out the music for this.
Mm-hmm.
Quirky fits our brand.
It's true. Like charming.
Yes.
Quirky. I hope charming anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we might fall off the bike a couple times, but you can hang with us.
Yeah.
But we should introduce ourselves a little bit. I mean, I figure most people starting out will know us a little.
Yeah.
But,
probably. But that's okay. We can this is a completely new realm for us.
It's true.
Like, we have not touched this area of expertise because we are not experts.
No. That's the whole point.
That's the whole point. So this is going to be about business.
Yeah.
And the enneagram.
Yeah.
And kind of the intersection of the two.
Uh-huh.
But we are both new at business.
It's true.
We're not completely new at enneagram. You're way less new.
That's fair.
Than I am.
Yeah, I got a few years.
Yeah. Whereas my experience is less on that front.
Yeah.
But we are both very new at the business part.
At the entrepreneuring part.
Correct.
Have our expertise under our belts.
Yes.
Which is, John, let's just start with you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
What's your business?
Well, yeah. So my name is John, like I said before, and we're awkward. And I own a video production company called Unite Creative Company. And so my background is a lot in video. Mm-hmm. I went to school for broadcast journalism. I worked in broadcast journalism for 7 years and then went into ministry. Mm-hmm. And primarily, that wasn't my only focus. Video was not my only focus in ministry, but that was primarily my expertise that I brought to the table. And so anyone who has been in ministry would know that
you get to wear a lot of hats.
You don't do one thing.
Right.
And so, and then, during COVID, like, of course, probably for a lot of people, COVID was transformational in lots and lots of ways. And for me, it was that I started to get asked to do projects outside of my day job. And so that kind of opened me up to the idea that might be something I could do all the time, and decided to go for it. And so at this point, when this podcast is coming out, I'm 6 months into it.
6 months in.
Maybe, right?
That seems right.
August of 2021. So almost 7 months into it. So that's how new I am at business. But it has been really good and really confirming in a lot of ways. I've gotten to work with some really awesome organizations. Nonprofits has still been something that I really want to stay connected to. And so that's been a lot of the work I've done. And, but also learning how to work with businesses too. Because that's something I've never done before. So, that is where I am at right now.
John in a nutshell. And Unite Creative Company, which I often call, when I talk about you and your company, Just Unite Creative Co. Because that's your website.
That is my website. And like, if I could have LLC'd just Unite Creative Co., I would have. I don't let you.
Oh.
Because co is another like
abbreviation. The things you learn.
And they wouldn't let me do it.
Entrepreneuring is full of discoveries.
Yeah. So I had to do Unite Creative Company.
Yeah.
But yes, Unite Creative Co.
Okay.
Yeah.
He has cool shirts and doing great work so far.
Thanks. Yeah. I like my shirts too.
Yeah, they came out great.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's John in a box in a nutshell.
Bonni in a box. Let's hear it.
Bonni in a box. Yeah. So I also have recently started businessing, as I guess we're going to say, entrepreneuring. And my business is Empathetic Enneagram, and it's a Enneagram coaching gig.
It's a job, Bonni. It is a business.
It is a business. LLC'd. And I've been doing Enneagram so I first learned it in 2016. And that was where I was just initially labeled as a 9. That sounds terrible, but that's where I was officially discovered that I am an Enneagram 9. And fun fact, which we'll get more into Enneagram sometime, but fun fact about 9s, we don't know ourselves very well. So having a system that explained me to me was very beneficial and helpful for my growth. And so I got into it and really enjoyed it, and then got to learn it again more officially in like 2018. And then the end of 2019, I was kind of like, I think I'd like to get certified, be a coach in this. So beginning of 2020, I bought a program with your Enneagram coach and Beth McCord and started doing it and said, I'm going to knock this out in a month. And then it was March 2020.
And the whole world fell apart.
Yeah. And like my son's preschool canceled. Like I literally just paid for like 4 Fridays, because at the time for our full-time job, we were off on Fridays. And so I'd paid for these Fridays so that I could go to a coffee shop and like bust through this program or whatever. And then the preschool's like, oh, by the way, we can't have children here. So sorry, here's your money back for these Fridays. And so yeah, it took a while because again, like John and I met through where we were working together. Yeah. And so a lot of that demand of COVID lifestyle fell into my lap, and it became a very challenging time, and it was very high stress. So I tabled Enneagram coaching for a while, but really felt like the call to get back to it. So I finished my certification in October 2020, and then took the leap and started doing this for real in October of 2021. So here we are. So
can I ask a question? Well, okay.
Yeah.
So episode 2, like our next episode is going to be more Enneagram focused.
Yeah.
But I'm going to ask a question because I feel like it could be a question
sure
that you can answer very easily.
Okay.
What is Enneagram coaching, Bonni?
Enneagram coaching is personality system. Okay. So Enneagram is a personality system. Coaching is for people who want to grow into more of who you are created to be. So we can accept ourselves and stay stuck, or we can accept ourselves and flourish. And so I'm on the flourishing end. If you're not interested in flourishing, just walk on by, I guess.
Bonnie's not for you.
Yeah. I'll challenge you out of that. So yeah. So that's Enneagram coaching. I guess video production is pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Well,
we know what that is.
That's why I asked. Yeah. Because I feel like, people can surmise fairly easily what it is that I do.
Mm-hmm. YouTube helps.
YouTube helps a lot. Yeah. But I do feel like Enneagram coaching, honestly, like I do feel like coaching in general is a kind of not it's an older, it's been around, but it is a newer phenomenon as far as like the popularity of it.
That's true.
And so I feel like just some clarifying. That's all.
Thanks. It's good.
You did a great job.
Yeah. So I was thinking about fun facts about our entrepreneuring, which are interesting because we both like took this big leap out of paychecks.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, we did.
And just kind of went for it. And it was one of those things that also, I mean, I'll just share a little bit of this background. We alluded to the fact that John and I got to do a podcast together, March 2020.
Yes.
Pandemic changed a lot of things for both of us. And what it did, at least for me, and I think for John, you'll interject if I'm speaking incorrectly,
Sure.
is that we both got to like step into this realm of stuff that we had never gotten to step in before. And we both really came alive in it.
Yeah.
So obviously a lot of things were lost, or have been lost because of the pandemic, but also we learned a lot of things. And so it was really fun to do the podcast together. It was really fun in what we were doing. I really enjoyed like thinking of ways to help people grow in like a new medium.
Yeah.
And then for us, the unfortunate part is that as the pandemic receded and things were kind of going back to normal with our day jobs, like the stuff that made us come alive was also going away.
Yeah.
And that like sucked. Just plain and simple. Yeah. But it was also sort of like a wake up call, at least to say like, okay, there's something next and new. And once that starts happening, a lot of people probably can relate to this. It's kind of hard to ignore it and to box things up and put them to the side and say, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to. And so here we are 2 years later, both have made like the big leap into not a paycheck, but a business.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I think that, part of the reason why it's kind of fun because like part of the reason why we're back doing a podcast again is because that's one of the things that we found like to be fulfilling, right? In that season. And it's something that we wanted to get back to. And I think one of the reasons why we lost it was because of kind of that return to quote unquote normal.
Yeah.
And, when you lose space and time for creativity and for yourself to explore new things, the things that you start oftentimes go away. And so, so it's fun to be doing this again, but then also I think at the same time figuring out business.
Yeah.
And so like, I mean, maybe a little secret of this podcast is also like the goal is to help people kind of understand different business stories or like things people have learned. But like, we're just hoping that people who have been around a lot longer and are much people smarter than us. We're primary learners here.
Yes.
What I'm saying, like we are hoping to be more successful because of this. Yeah. As well as you, but us too.
Also us.
Yeah, we want to get something out of it.
We want to help people learn how to be good entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Also, we are people.
Yes, correct. And we want to be good entrepreneurs, right?
Be good entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I do think like what's cool for both of us is like we have gotten to see how when you are really passionate about something and you just feel the desire to kind of take the leap, that you can do it successfully, I think, but also to understand there's a lot of room for growth, and that's why we're here.
Welcome.
Yeah, we
have lots of room for growth, but it's it's going to be a good ride.
Yeah, for sure. So Bonni, what do you want to get out of EntrepreNINES?
I mean, I do love learning. I am a learner, not by doing it myself. I'm one of these people that's like, watch what other people do, learn from their mistakes. Like I don't have to also prove that I will fail at it too. Or whatever, like the kids who, like, oh, I'm going to get my bike up this ramp that keeps collapsing for everybody. Like that was not me as a kid.
Yeah.
I watched a few people do it and be like, so that's not going to work. I'm not going to do it.
Right.
So same things applied. So I do hope to definitely learn some things, but also like as a 9, we get to fall into this trap of believing that our voice doesn't matter. Our presence doesn't matter. And so I will have a bad habit of staying quiet and just out of the, just kind of in the background of life. And so this is a good challenge too in my own growth. And so if I'm challenging clients and people to grow, then I kind of need to also step up to the plate and do it too.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I think what's nice about doing this for the second time is we've already kind of cleared a little hurdle of like us being heard,
right?
And like putting our stuff out there. But to be honest, what we did before was very much...
Oh, we got to hide behind an organization.
Yeah, it was within like the roles we played then.
Right.
And so I think this, being experts at what we do, but not being experts at how, like the business side of it, I think is the scary part.
Yeah.
And it's like, it kind of makes me feel like I just started my email list.
Yeah.
Like it makes me feel the way
doing great.
I did when I started that. Yeah. Just like, oh my gosh, like, am I really going to ask people to like come to me for information?
Right.
Or for expertise.
Yeah.
And that's scary. It's just a different feeling. So
it's true. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing is true. Hiding behind an organization, and not that that's bad, right? Like,
sure.
There are times, and we were both living in a season where like supporting an organization and being a part of an organization was important.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, in this season, that's no longer where I am. That's no longer where you are. That's no longer where we're called. And there's a whole bunch of you out there who are like experiencing the same thing and are stepping into similar ventures. And I want you to know, I guess you're not alone. John and I are here, and we're gonna bump through this entrepreneuring thing together.
Yeah.
And so we hope you join regularly. We're going to have smarter people on too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's an expectation you can have of the podcast is that we're going to ask people to come and share their wisdom or their experience or their story of entrepreneuring, not always Enneagram 9s, because
right. I mean, that's kind of the point too.
That's
like
the point.
We talked about this, like, like the point is like, we operate in a lot of similar ways because of the fact that personality wise, we share that. So it's important that we hear from people who operate differently.
Yes.
Because we will learn from them.
Yes.
Likely more than we will learn from each other.
Yeah.
Which it's not to say I haven't learned a lot from you, but
I get it. You need somebody who's going to like ride their bike up the ramp that's going to break the first time.
Yeah. And we can just stand back and watch.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, I'm not doing that.
Exactly. There's lots of bike analogies happening in this podcast so far.
It's our first time back on it in a while, so it's okay. I'm excited about that. I think that I'm excited. Like we have a list, we are hoping people will want to talk to us. Fun
fact, because we're 9s, we haven't asked anyone yet. But we will by the time this is published.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Like looking at that list, like I'm excited to hear from people because I think there are some other people who are fairly new to business, but there's a lot of people who aren't. And so to hear their perspective, and honestly, like I feel honored to sit and watch you do a little bit of your work too, because I think it's natural that the Enneagram is going to come up as part of this podcast. And so to get a little bit more behind the scenes on that.
Yeah.
Too. So thanks for the free coaching.
Oh yeah, no problem. It's going to be great. And John can give us hot production tips here and there.
Hot tip.
Guys, speaking of hot production tips, you should see this because when we started podcasting the first time together, we did not have the sort of jazzy equipment that is sitting here in front of me, lighting up like a rainbow.
Well,
so
yeah, I mean, when we let's just be honest, when we first started podcasting, like we were quarantined. We were stuck in our homes. So it wasn't even like
lockdown life.
Like even just being able to sit in the same room is pretty weird. Yeah. But because we were doing it over the computer.
Yeah.
So we've taken a little bit of a step up, and the benefit of owning a business that actually needs certain equipment like this is nice. So.
Okay, so I feel like we didn't super talk about how long we want these podcasts to be.
Oh, yeah.
But this is starting to feel right. But I feel like they need to know some personal things about us. We know our business backgrounds, like why we're here, kind of how we know each other.
Yep.
but let's do some like things that make you human, because one of the things we said is that we're building businesses with soul. So let me just get real really fast. The line of work that John and I were in was grueling for a while, especially through COVID.
Yeah.
And we were both feeling a lot of the tension was, one, we got to come alive in this area. It went away. But also we were just sunk for hours and feeling a little bit disconnected. And, it was starting to, at least for me, not jive with some of the values that I had on paper.
Sure.
And so stepping away and starting my own thing. And I know for you too, like our priority right now is not to make billions of dollars. So if that's why you're here, sorry, we're not here to make billions of dollars. Like we're not. We're here to make businesses with soul.
It would be a great
side effect. For sure.
But that is something that we did talk about before we started this, is like, there's so much out there of like how to get rich quick, and like, not that we don't want success or to be financially secure.
Right.
But we would rather see businesses understand who they are and why than just take off and make $1 billion.
Right.
And
at the expense of
themselves or other people. Yeah.
And so both of us are working on our own business rhythms and how we're present in our homes and how we're present as, human beings, and what we do with our energy, all of those things. For me, especially, like I just detoxed for like a long time from productivity, like period.
Yeah.
Because I could, which was a lucky thing for me. But anyway, so we're businesses with souls, which means we're humans with souls. Yeah. And we want to take time in this podcast to represent and honor the humanness and the honoring of humanness in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So some of your humanness, John Wist.
Some of my humanness.
Yeah. Tell us about the people you love.
Okay. Yeah. So I am married to my wife, Lauren. She and I have been together since the summer between our junior and senior years of high school. So we have been together longer than
more than half
our life. Yeah. Yeah. It's always one of those things, like, how do you describe
I'm clapping.
that? Thank you.
Yeah, that's what that was.
Yeah. So we are high school sweethearts. We have 3 kids, Elliot, Evelyn, and Amelia. They're all E's. That was not intentional,
but it's cute,
but it worked. So it happened. And yeah, by the time this comes out, Elliot will almost be 8. Evelyn is 4. And Amelia will almost be 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is bonkers.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a busy season in our house for sure. My wife is a lactation consultant, and works, 2 days a week. And so right now our rhythm, figuring out this whole thing, like, just honestly is like, when do I work and when do I take care of children, and when does she work and when does she take care of children? And just trying to figure out that whole dance. And part of the value that we had in making this move was for me to be more present at home, to be more present as a dad and as a husband. And honestly, like, we can already see the difference in that and feel the difference in that, which is really nice.
Yeah.
But at the same time, also being completely transparent and vulnerable, it has showed that I need to get out of the house more. And so one of my rhythms is starting to find times where I can leave the house, still get work done, but also kind of just let myself have some time away. And also, when can Lauren do that?
Yeah.
So it's finding the balance for both of us of like, when can we both remove ourselves from responsibility and parenting and adulting for a little while, which I think is good.
Yeah.
And we just have not had that before, really, in any season of our relationship. So that's a new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're all so okay. Here's the last bit of background for the podcast is John, Lauren, myself, and my husband. So we've been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
The COVID bubble just really shored things up.
Yeah.
In our friendship and relationship. So we're all doing this thing.
We may refer
closely.
to ourselves as a commune from time to time.
From time to time.
Because we wind up
doing lots of things together.
Yeah.
I mean, that's also, it's a huge thing is what's happened for a lot of people in COVID. So there's a lot of people out there, I'm sure, who can relate. But what we're doing, some in our family commune, some is we're all just working on our personal rhythms and trying to honor our own boundaries and our own humanness and our own needs. And we're all just walking out of this season of feeling like crazy chaos all the time. And so that's been good. I'm proud of you guys for both doing that. So
it has been good. And I think it's still like, it is still a weekly battle to figure it out. But all of that stuff takes time. So, yeah. Okay.
It's hard not to talk about children at this phase of life without also talking about how you're surviving your children at this phase of life.
For sure. I would say we have found a new enjoyment of each of them right now, which is great. But they are still
they have a lot of energy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Thinking back
surviving is a thing.
To once upon a time we had that kind of energy.
Yes, it is hard to believe, but yes, yeah.
Okay, rapid fire for you really quick.
Okay.
Favorite dessert?
Oh, anything with chocolate. I mean, shoot. Bonni and Mark just gave me a fantastic blondie right before we started
ganache.
With ganache.
Which you had to say it like that for whatever reason.
It's anything with chocolate. Chocoholic. Yep.
Okay. Favorite beverage.
I'm a big time tea guy. So ice, like sweet tea, iced tea, but also like I don't drink a lot of coffee. I will from time to time have coffee, but I am more so like a tea every morning and starting to become every afternoon. So yeah.
Okay. So you're working out of the house in a coffee shop and in your earbuds is playing.
Ooh, that's a good question. I tend to drift towards some what I would call gosh, I don't even know what to box to put this in genre. I would say it is typically something on the line of if people know who the Grey Havens are.
So good.
Or New Liturgists.
I think it's like indie worship.
Indie, sure, yeah.
Is what you would probably right?
Yeah. That sounds great. Yeah. So something along those lines is typically what I drift if I'm working, like what I drift towards. Yeah.
I like it. Okay. Last thing, favorite place to vacation?
Anywhere with mountains, pretty much.
Mountains.
Yes.
Nice.
Mountain person. National parks. We are a big national park family. We like being outside when we vacation. So anywhere we can explore.
Okay.
Hike.
Last thing.
Okay.
I said last thing before, but that makes me think, what's your favorite season?
Oh man. It's probably fall. I mean, spring is a close second, but yeah.
Transition season.
Fall for sure. Yeah.
Seasons are an anomaly because I grew up in New Orleans and we have like days where sometimes the weather is not hot and humid, but then other than that, generally it's just hot and humid. Yeah. And you're Marylander kind of, but then also North Carolina.
Yeah. I mean, I've been in Maryland for a lot longer now at this point, but yes. Yeah. I mean, I grew up in Western North Carolina, so always typically had 4 seasons, but also like have lived at the mountains, have lived at the beach, would definitely choose mountains over beach.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
So there you go.
John Wist.
In a box.
in a box, nutshell. On a bike. Oh.
Okay. All right, Bonni Mace.
Okay.
Just give us your background first, and then I guess I'll be thinking right now of.
I know, because I thought of those questions on the fly, so no pressure.
Yeah, for real.
We didn't plan those. About me. So the people I love, I'm married to Mark, and same as John and Lauren, we have a similar story. We are high school sweethearts. Mark asked me out for an entire summer. in high school between.
Which just makes so much sense.
Yeah.
For him as a person.
Yes, it does. If you know him, and I'm sure you guys all hear more about him over the podcast, but it was between my sophomore and junior year, his junior and senior year. And he asked me out for an entire summer, and I was so afraid of dating. Like, I didn't want to have my heart broken. So I just told him no over and over again. And long story short, value of this podcast is vulnerability. We started making out, and then we started dating. And so ever since then, one thing leads to another. Yeah. And yeah, so we've been together, more than half our life, and got married almost 11 years ago now. And that's wild. I feel like a newlywed or a child still is figuring this out. And no, we've been married for 11 years. And that's
ours
like,
will be 12 this year. Yep.
Yeah, that's like old fart marriage territory when it comes down to it. Like, lots of marriages don't make it that long. Yeah. So that's cool. We have 2 boys, and they are Caleb and Isaac, and Caleb is 5 and Isaac is 1, just about to be 1.5, which is wild too.
Yeah.
And they're just goobers, and I love them. and they're fun, and it's loud in my house, and there's like always something being thrown at the wall, even though I don't want there to, like, we have a rule that you can only throw things in the playroom, but it's never followed. I don't know. Things just get thrown around when you have a house full of boys.
Kids.
Yeah. So that's our house. And we have a dog, and her name is Bonni, and she's a beagle, and she will eat anything.
The biggest goober.
Yeah, she's the biggest goober. She thinks she's starving and starved for affection. And neither of those things are true. Like, she is
well fed, well loved.
Yes. Yeah. And now I'm missing some teeth, because I guess that's what happens to beagles. So you start pulling their teeth when they get old. Yeah. Okay. So that's our home in a nutshell here.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to rob one of them, and that is I think, favorite dessert, because I think that's a great question.
Favorite dessert. I love chocolate fudge brownie ice cream. And
choice. Ben
& Jerry's is really hard to beat with chocolate fudge brownie ice cream. And I can get snobby if I go somewhere new and they have chocolate fudge brownie ice cream, and it's like milky chocolate and like not enough brownie chunks, and like, did you forget the fudge? Like, I kind of have high standards for that too. So,
the one thing that you miss from growing up in New Orleans / Texas that you can't get here.
Yeah. So definitely more New Orleans is where I get more nostalgic than Texas.
Okay.
I've actually now lived in Maryland longer than I lived in Texas, which is wild. But New Orleans food, for sure. Like, we just know how to do food really well. And crawfish specifically. Yeah. 1, it's very expensive in Maryland. Yes. And 2, like in New Orleans, starting around now, like around carnival season, king cake, I miss that too. It's all food. You can just like pretty much go anywhere, and people are like, here, let's have some crawfish together. And it's a whole day thing.
It's
it's so great. And so I really do miss that. And just, that's probably the best part.
Okay. Good. Both of us have started reading books more lately.
It's true.
Which is great.
I've read more books in January of 2022 than I did in all of 2021.
Nice.
So
congratulations.
Hurrah.
Favorite book, nonfiction or fiction?
Favorite book, nonfiction. This one's okay. I'm gonna have to edit out some awkward silence.
We don't edit this podcast.
I mean, honestly, like, I really loved Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, and I started out not loving it.
Okay.
And I just recently wrote like a post about how it messed me up at the beginning of 2021. And then I picked it up and finished it, and I was like, wow, this is like profoundly good. But it's a hard read, but it's really good.
Yeah.
So that might be my favorite.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Okay. Favorite thing for you to do with like your free time?
Favorite thing to do with my free time? I love a good sit and do nothing. Which is very Enneagram 9 of me. You guys will learn as you learn the Enneagram. But I do love a good sit and do nothing. I really like to just watch my kids play and like observe them doing their goobery little things. And with a warm cup of coffee in my hand, just watch them be, their fun little selves. But I am recently also taking up hobbies because I realized I didn't have any hobbies.
Okay. Nice.
So there's actually like a puzzle right behind me, which is your fault and Lauren's fault.
Sorry.
I learned I enjoy puzzles.
I was going to bring up the fact that we have like vacation together a couple times now.
Yeah.
And the fact that like those vacations are very much sit and do nothing / puzzle.
/ a puzzle. / only do the puzzle.
/ puzzle.
Yeah.
Puzzle is the form
Feed
of
the children. Do the puzzle.
Yeah. Yes.
The end.
Yes.
Yeah. That's been nice. Yeah. And I have a paint by number.
Nice.
For grown-ups.
Nice.
That's been fun. So those are my 2 hobbies.
So something that you haven't mentioned.
What?
That's from your past is that you like art and design.
It's true.
Is so much part of your past.
It's true. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have a graphic design degree that I spent a lot of money on. A lot of time paying off that money. And it was great and it was wonderful and I love it. And I do love art and visual art and that kind of thing. But also, I think some of my 9-ness has played into the fact that I never know what I want to actually create. So when I don't have someone telling me what thing to make, I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not good at anything.
So that's how I feel
so paint by number.
Like a lot about videos, but I just don't tell anyone that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good. I'm glad we can kind of commiserate on that one when it comes to creativity. But all right. Well, now they know us. Next episode.
Yeah.
We're gonna dive into Enneagram a little bit.
Just Enneagram primer.
Yeah. Just
it's gonna be fun.
Overview, primer. You're gonna talk a lot, I'm sure. I'll ask questions.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure. But also what both of our backgrounds are, because we are both 9s. I haven't really talked about it. You've talked about it a little bit, but I'll tell you a little bit of how I came.
Your 9-ness.
To my 9-ness.
Yeah.
But yeah, Enneagram primer.
Yeah.
Next episode.
Hey, you can find us on the internet. I feel like you should know about that.
We exist on the internet.
So before you go, you can find me on the internet at empatheticenneagram.com or bonniemace.com. And then John, you're at
unitecreative.co.
CO. Drop the M.
Yeah, don't put the M in. I don't know where that goes, but it wasn't available.
You should look it up sometime.
No, there's other Unite Creatives out there. So,
but he's the best one. We're also on Instagram. And Facebook.
And this podcast will be lots of places. So, yeah. Feel free to subscribe
on your favorite one.
Yeah, and share it with folks.
And leave a review, but only if it's nice. Yeah. I'm just kidding. I guess you can be honest.
Yeah, I mean, be honest with us, I guess, but we preferred that you be nice to us.
Yeah, be constructive.
Constructive criticism.
There we go.
There we go. All right. Well, until next time.
Bye.
Bye.